Good morning, children. I am happy to see you all once again through this video. In this class, we are going to start our third chapter in chemistry, that is atoms and molecules. I am sure that you are all thorough with the table given in page number 51, isn't it? So now you know the atomic number, the number of protons, electrons and neutrons of first 18 elements as well as their symbols too, isn't it? Have you all finished that homework table given in page number 51? Okay, good. Now let us go to the new lesson, that is atoms and molecules. You all know very well atoms are the smallest unit or the fundamental unit of anything, any matter. Every object is made up of small things. Generally, we have a curiosity. For example, even a small child, if you give anything, any object, any brick or anything, they used to break that, isn't it? Even in our childhood, we used to broke the different things. Whatever we get, we will break them and we will try to see what is inside them. Even if you give a remote car to a small child, the small child will break that and see the different parts inside the remote car. That's our natural common tendency. Similarly, from the old age itself, from the long ago, days ago, especially the Indian and Greek philosophers, they used to think a lot. They had a curiosity about knowing the unseen part of the matter. Matter in the sense anything. Matter means anything that occupies some volume. Understood or not? Anything that occupies some volume, that can be called as matter. Understood? A gas can be called as a matter, a solid can be called as a matter, and a liquid can also be called as a matter. So now see here. So generally Indian and Greek philosophers used to think about the unseen part of the matter. That is, there is a concept called divisibility of matter. So what happened? Can we divide the matter? For example, if you take a brick, can we divide the brick further and then we will get some sand? Then can we divide the sand further? Okay. Then if you go on dividing, what will be the last fundamental or the smallest undivisible unit? That was the question. Okay. Usually in olden time, Indian philosophers and Greek philosophers were famous. Okay. So in your book, two Indian philosophers' name is given. One is Maharishi Kannad and another one is Pakuda Katyayama. Okay, the names are a little difficult to pronounce. Anyway, that's not a matter. Let's try to know what they told. So both of them, the Maharishi Kannad and Pakuda Katyayama, they told that when we go on dividing a matter, when we go on dividing an object, we will finally get a undivisible one. Understood? When we go on dividing the matter, we will finally get a smallest unit. That unit cannot be divided further. Okay, that will be the smallest fundamental unit. And this Maharishi Kannad, he called the undivisible or the indivisible unit, the smallest unit that cannot be further divisible as Paramanu. He called it as Paramanu. Generally, this Anu, Anu means atom. Okay. So earlier itself, the philosophers had the concept of atom, Indian philosophers. Okay. Then this Pakuda Katyayama, he also supported that philosophy. You should understand, these are just philosophies. They didn't do any experiments. Okay, just a philosophy. Okay. Then this Katyayama, he told that yeah, it's correct. And these indivisible, these atoms, they will always exist in the form of groups, and that groups will form a matter. Understood? For example, several cells form tissues. Similarly, several atoms, several anus form the matter. Okay. So these are the thoughts given by Indian philosophers. Only two of them is being mentioned here. And at the same time, Greek philosophers also had the same thought. Here two names are given, Democritus and Leucippus. Okay, Democritus and Leucippus are the two Greek philosophers. They also shared the same philosophy. So they told that, yeah, if you go on dividing the matter, you will finally get something, the smallest fundamental unit, that is indivisible. We cannot divide that further. And the Democritus called these indivisible things as atoms. Atoms meaning they cannot be divided further. The meaning of atom is they cannot be divided further. Understood? Anu also refers to atom, and Democritus directly used the term atoms. Understood? But though they could sense some matter or some information about atoms, these were all just philosophies. They never did any experiment to prove it. Till 18th century, these things remain only as philosophies. Okay, but they started thinking even before Christ, 500 BC. This Maharishi Kanad lived 500 BC. Okay, 500 years ago from the birth of Jesus Christ. Till the 18th century, no one tried to prove this experimentally. But at the end of 18th century, what happened? The scientists slowly they started finding the difference between elements and compounds. Okay, this is element, this is compound, these are the different, this and that. Okay, then slowly several scientists started working on it. Okay, so one among the important scientists, important modern day scientists, his name is given here, Anton L. Lavoisier. Anton Lavoisier. Okay, he is the man who laid the foundation of chemical science, modern chemical science. Okay, he gave us two important laws. The laws are called as laws of chemical combinations. These two laws here, these laws, the topic is laws of chemical combination. He gave us two laws. One is law of conservation. The first one is law of conservation of mass. Totally two laws. The first one is law of conservation of mass, and the second one is law of definite or constant proportion. So law of conservation of mass, law of constant proportion or definite proportion. Okay, these two laws paid the foundation. They laid the foundation for the development of chemical science. Based on this law only, so other scientists started thinking about the structure of atom, how an atom looks like, and atomic theories, several Dalton atomic theory, and several atomic theories are developed. Understood? This is just the introduction of atoms and molecules. This is definitely an interesting lesson. So let's go to the laws of chemical combinations. Two scientists, not only Lavoisier, with him there is another scientist, Joseph L. Proust. Lavoisier and Joseph Proust, they did a lot of experiments, and based on that experiment they derived these two laws. These two laws are together called as laws of chemical combination. Okay, so the first law is law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass. You should study these two laws. You should memorize and you can understand this easily. The first law says that mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. That is, mass will be conserved. Conserved means it will not be wasted. Okay, it will be conserved. So it is called as law of conservation of mass. If you want to understand this law simply, what it says, so generally in a chemical reaction will be expressed like this. In the middle one arrow will be there. In the left side you will write the reactants, and in the right side you will write the products. Yes or no? Okay, so here which elements will react? Elements or compounds will react with each other. They are called as reactants, and the final output is called as products. Yes or no? What this law says, mass can neither be created nor destroyed, means the mass will remain the same. It will not get increased or it will not get decreased. In other words, if you want to tell this law in short, this law is nothing but it says that mass of the reactants is equal to mass of the products. No increase, no decrease. Understood or not? So law of conservation of mass simply says that mass of reactant is equal to mass of product. If you measure all the reactants together, if you measure the mass of all the reactants and if you measure the mass of all the products, their mass will be same. Understood? That is why it is said that mass can neither be created. It will never increase or nor destroy. It will never decrease. Understood? So if a chemical reaction happens, the mass of the reactants will be always equal to the mass of products. This is called as law of conservation of mass. Okay, I will explain this with an example little later. Now look at the law of constant proportion. So law of constant proportion, what it says? It says that in a chemical substance, the elements are always present in definite proportion by mass. Chemical substance means you consider a compound. Compound means generally compound is made up of 2 or more elements. Understood or not? For example, if you consider H2O, you know H2O means what? H2O. H2O means water. So water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen is an element, oxygen is an element. Understood or not? Okay. So this is a compound. It is made up of 2 elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen. Understood? So what it says, so whenever a substance is made up of some elements, the elements are always present in definite proportion by mass. Definite proportion means, for example, whatever the substance may be, whatever it is made of. For example, if it is a water, it is made of hydrogen and oxygen. Always hydrogen and oxygen will be in a definite proportion, in a fixed ratio by mass. For example, I tell you like that, in water always hydrogen and oxygen are in the ratio 1:8. How much? 1:8. 1:8 means, so hydrogen 1, oxygen 8. So 1:8. How means, for example, if they are in definite ratio by mass. For example, if you take 9 gram of water, only 1 gram will be hydrogen and remaining 8 gram will be oxygen. Understood or not? So 9 gram of water contains 1 gram of hydrogen and 8 gram of oxygen. This is called as law of constant proportion. I will explain this further. You should also understand, even if you take a cup of water, in that cup of water too, the ratio will be 1:8. Hydrogen 1, oxygen 8. If you take a tank of water, bucket of water, whatever it may be, the ratio will be always 1:8. When the source is different, one you are taking from sea water, another one rain water, another one river water, bore water, underground water, whatever the source may be, in a particular substance, that is, if you take water, the particular elements will be always in the particular ratio. Definite proportion means fixed ratio. Understood? So whether you take whatever the water source may be, okay, it may be well, it may be river, pond, rain, whatever it may be, the ratio will be always same, 1:8. This is for water. For other substance, the ratio may be different, but the ratio will always remain the same. Understood? for each substance a particular ratio will be there. The ratio will always remain the same irrespective of the quantity, irrespective of the source. Understood? If you want to clearly understand these two laws, you should clearly understand a concept called atomic mass, because both the laws are concerned with mass, isn't it? Both the laws are related to mass. Though it is not given in book, I want to tell you a different example, give you a different example. But before, if you want to understand that example, you should understand the term atomic mass. What is atomic mass? Okay, so let me directly go to the topic atomic mass, and I will come back again to explain these two laws. Understood? Atomic mass. Atomic mass is nothing but it is equal to the mass of the atom. Mass of the atom. We have studied different atoms, 18 different atoms, isn't it? 18 different elements. Hydrogen, first one is hydrogen, helium. You remember or not? Lithium, beryllium, He, Libya, BC, no. You remember that rhyme, isn't it? Okay. So atomic mass means mass of an atom, generally. But you should know one thing. You should know one thing. In the previous class, I discussed with you about the structure of an atom. The atom contains in the middle what? In the middle, nucleus is there. Inside the nucleus, protons and neutrons are there. Then there, outside the nucleus, what will be there? Electrons will be revolving around in a particular orbit or shells. They are named K, L, M, N, O and so forth. Understood? Do you remember this? Okay. So let me consider one atom, that is oxygen atom. Do you remember oxygen atomic number? Oxygen atomic number? He, Libya, BC? No. No. N, O. O. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Isn't it? Now, if the atomic number is 8, then number of protons is also 8. Okay. Number of electrons also 8. So, I already told you, in the first shell, maximum of 2 electrons only can be present. We will discuss about that further later. Okay. Now, K shell, first shell has only 2 electrons, so totally 8 electrons. Remaining 6 will be filled in the second shell. 3. Because the second shell can have a maximum of 6 electrons. Sorry, the second shell can have a maximum of 8 electrons. Maximum 8 is allowed. So here we want only 6. So okay. Now this is a oxygen atom. In oxygen, what is the number of neutron? In oxygen, the number of neutron is also 8. So everything, number of protons also 8, neutrons also 8, and this is oxygen atom. Okay, why I am sharing this? You should understand one thing. In the middle, what is present? In the middle, what is there? In the middle, nucleus is there. Nucleus is very, very small. In an atom, the nucleus is very, very small. Almost like in the whole board, this big board, you consider this dot, this much only nucleus size, even smaller than this. Nucleus will be even smaller than this. Understood? Nucleus is very, very small. Even then, the whole mass of the atom is almost contained in the nucleus. Understood? For example, the mass of the atom is approximately equal to the mass of the nucleus. Though it is very small, the mass of the atom and the mass of nucleus are almost same. In other words, I can say these orbits, they won't have big mass. They have negligible mass. The orbits and electrons have negligible mass. This nucleus contains what? Protons and neutrons. They constitute the mass of atom. If you don't understand this, you remember, you would have played shot put, 8 kg shot put, 10 kg shot put. So consider one 10 kg shot put. It will be little small only, but the weight is 10 kg. the shot put is covered by big tissue paper. Okay, tissue paper, you know, tissue paper, the size may be big, but the mass is very less. When you see the shot put is covered with a big tissue paper, the tissue paper may look big, but the mass is very small. For example, if you measure the shot put simply, it is 10 kg. Along with tissue paper you measure, it will be 10.05, 10.10 like that. That is negligible. Understood or not? Similarly, in an atom, this is like the nucleus is like the shot put. Okay, the whole mass of the atom is contained in the nucleus only. Therefore, mass of the atom is almost equal to the mass of the nucleus. So inside nucleus, what is present? Inside nucleus, protons and neutrons are present. So mass of the neutrons mean that is equal to, inside nucleus what are they? Protons and neutrons are present. So mass of the nucleus is equal to mass of protons plus mass of neutrons. Understood why I am writing like this? Because inside nucleus what is there? Protons and neutrons are there. Their mass will be equal to the mass of the nucleus. Understood? So you keep it in mind. Understood? So you know, I already told you, these protons and neutrons are together called by one name. Do you remember? They are present inside the nucleus. So both are called as nucleons. What is that? Nucleons. So that is equal to mass of nucleons. Nucleons mean nothing but protons and neutrons together. Why? Because they are present inside the nucleus, so they are called as nucleons. Therefore, atomic mass is equal to the mass of nucleons. Understood or not? Okay. So how will you calculate the mass? How will you calculate the mass? I will tell you one simple method. In the last class I told you one number called mass number. Do you remember that? Okay. So I am going to relate both. You will understand. Okay. So mass number, do you remember? Mass number is equal to, it is a number. Mass number is equal to the number of nucleons. I am going to relate this mass number and the atomic mass. But there is a difference. Mass number is a number, but atomic mass is a mass. So atomic mass means mass of nucleons. Mass number means number of nucleons. Number of nucleons means what? Nucleons means nothing but neutrons or protons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons. Do you remember this or not? Yes. Okay. So now let us take a look at oxygen. What is the mass number of oxygen? So mass number of oxygen equal to number of nucleons, that is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons. Okay. So I will write that equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons. Understood or not? Okay. So protons in oxygen, protons is 8, neutrons is also 8. Okay. So in oxygen gives mass number is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons. Number of proton is also 8, neutron also 8. So 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. You may get confusion. Why sir is relating both? Sir is confusing. No, I am not confusing. I am just telling you these atomic mass and mass number are related to each other. I will tell you how. Okay. So let me erase this. I will continue here. Okay. So now listen. So mass number is 16. Now, how will you calculate the atomic mass of oxygen? Atomic mass of oxygen. So, atomic mass of oxygen equal to atomic mass of oxygen is equal to mass of atomic mass formula is mass of protons plus mass of neutrons. Okay, so mass of protons. How many protons in oxygen? How many protons? 8. Okay, so 8 protons plus mass of neutron. Neutrons also 8. Neutrons also 8. Now, if you want to find the mass, you should know what is the mass of this proton and what is the mass of this neutron. I will tell you one good thing. It is very easy because the mass of protons and neutrons are approximately equal to 1. Understood or not? I forgot to tell one thing. This atomic mass is denoted by the unit as U. The unit is U. The unit U called as unified mass. Understood or not? Earlier it was called as AMU, atomic mass unit. Now it is called as U, unified mass. Now you see, you should know one thing. Mass of one proton is equal to 1 U, approximately equal to. It is 0.99 something. Okay. Similarly, mass of one neutron is also equal to 1 U. Understood? They are approximately equal to 1 U. Now you will understand. Therefore, atomic mass of oxygen is equal to, see, 1 proton is 1 U, therefore 8 proton is 8 into 1 U plus 1 neutron is 1 U and 8 neutron is 8 into 1 U, that is equal to 8 U plus 8 U, that is equal to 16 U. Now you would have understood one thing. The atomic mass and the mass number are the same in number. Why it is same in number? Because 1 proton is 1 U. 1 neutron is also 1 U. That is mass of 1 nucleon. Nucleon means whether it is proton or whether it is neutron, it is 1 U. Therefore, if there are totally 16 nucleons, then their atomic mass is 16 U. Now you got some idea? Therefore, atomic mass and mass number are related to each other, but the difference is mass number is just a number, but atomic mass is a mass. In other words, if you want to find the atomic mass of any element, first you calculate the atomic mass. If the atomic mass is 16, with that directly write the unit. The unit is U. For example, I will give you another example. Nitrogen. Okay, nitrogen mass number, you just calculate in mind. Nitrogen mass number. Mass number is mass of proton plus mass of neutron. So in nitrogen atomic number is 7. Therefore proton is 7. So proton also 7 and neutron also 7 only, nitrogen. So that is 14. So mass number is 14. Therefore atomic mass is simply with the 14 you write U. No need to write this much. Directly you write 14. So in this way you can calculate the atomic mass of any element. We have studied 18 elements now. You can calculate the atomic mass of all the 18 elements. Understood or not? So atomic mass is nothing but the mass of the atom, that is also equal to the mass of the nucleus, that is equal to the mass of proton plus neutron, that is mass of nucleus. Okay, so mass of one nucleon is 1 U. Therefore totally 16 nucleon means 16. 20 means 20. Understood? So now you understood atomic mass. Now we will go to the law. Before that I will tell you one more thing. You please copy it down. This is called as the atomic mass. Okay. Now there is another thing called molecular mass, that is nothing. Both are same only. I'll tell you the difference. There is another thing called molecular mass. So what is this? Both are same. But what different means? Atomic mass is the mass of only one atom. Molecular mass is the mass of two or more atoms together. For example, if you consider H is only one atom. Understood? H hydrogen's mass number is hydrogen number of proton plus number of neutron. So in hydrogen only one proton is there. How many neutron? 0 neutron. Hydrogen is the only element which has 0 neutron. So totally 1. So mass number is 1. Therefore atomic mass is, you just write the U. 1 U. Clear? So hydrogen means 1 U. This is called as atomic mass because only one atom. But now H2. H2 means how many atoms here? H2. 2 hydrogen atom. Okay. Therefore here you will write 2 hydrogen atom now. So 2 into 1 hydrogen atom is 1 U. So 2 into 1 U, that is equal to 2 U. This has only one hydrogen, only single atom. So it is called as atomic mass. But this has more than one. 2 atom na. So this is called as molecular mass. Otherwise both are same. Single atom in that is called atomic mass. 2 or more atoms. Let us consider water, H2O. Here how many are present? 2 different elements. This is one element, this is one element. In hydrogen alone 2 atoms present. H2 means 2 hydrogen atoms. Then O means 1 oxygen. Therefore, you know 2 hydrogen atom na. So 2 into 1 U. Then your 1 oxygen is there na. You have to put plus. Understood? Plus oxygen, only 1 oxygen. Earlier itself we found oxygen atomic mass is 16. So 16 U. So 2 into 1 U is 2 U plus 16 U. That is equal to 18. Understood or not? So this is also called as molecular mass. Why? Because here more than one atom is there. Only one atom means the symbol will be exactly there. H means H only. Helium means He only. Then lithium means Li only. Beryllium means Be only. But instead of that H2, H3 or anything like that, Be2, anything is given, that is called molecular mass. Or more than one element is there, that is also called as molecular mass. You understood clearly why I am giving this much stress means only if you understand this, you can clearly understand the law of chemical combination. Okay, so please note it down. Now I will explain with again the law of chemical combination, that is law of conservation of mass and the law of constant proportion. Please note it down. Now consider this example, the formation, the chemical reaction which shows the formation of water. H2O means water, H2 means hydrogen molecule, O2 means oxygen molecule. I will explain you what is a molecule in the next class. Okay. So now 2H2, 2 molecules of hydrogen reacts with 1 molecule of oxygen to form 2 molecule of H2O, that is water. This is a chemical reaction. In this chemical reaction, I am going to explain both the law of conservation of mass and the law of constant proportion. So law of conservation of mass says that mass of reactants is equal to mass of products. Yes or no? Okay. Then, so this side, this is called as reactants and this is called as products. Okay. So now we are going to check this, whether this is correct or not. I taught you about atomic mass and molecular mass. Are they called as atomic mass atoms? No, they are molecules. O2, H2, H2O. So molecular mass concept, atomic mass, molecular mass almost same only. For a single atom is atomic mass, for a group of atom is molecular mass. So let us apply. So here how many hydrogen is there? 2, here 2. Understood or not? If the 2 is in the front, it is applicable. For example, the 2 is in the front now. The 2 is written in the front. Therefore, this 2 is applicable for both H and both O. It is just like in math, if you use common bracket, this 2 is applicable for both A and B now in the same way. Okay, if the 2 is written in front, it is applicable to all the element that comes back. But if the 2 is written below this 2, then it is applicable only for, it belongs only to H, not to the O. Again I say, if these 2 or any value is written in front, for example, if 3NH2, okay, or 3NH3, this 3 is applicable for both nitrogen and hydrogen, but this 3, it is written below, it is only for hydrogen and not for nitrogen. Keep it in mind. Okay, so now tell me. So this 2 is there na? So this is the common. So write this outside. Bracket. Here how many hydrogen there? This 2 is taken outside. So how many hydrogen there? 2 hydrogen. So 2 into, we already found hydrogen atomic mass. Hydrogen mass number is 1. So atomic mass is 1 U. Okay. Plus 2 oxygen. 2 oxygen means 2 into oxygen atomic mass is 16 U. We already saw that. A mass number is 16. 8 plus 8. Okay. Number of protons 8. Number of neutrons 8. 8 plus 8 16. 16 means 16. So 2 into 16 U gives. Here 2 is common na friend. So take the 2 commonly outside. Okay. This 2 over. Now H2. This 2 is only for H. So 2 into H atomic mass is 1. Okay. This H2O is a single compound. So this oxygen mass will also get added. Be careful. Don't put multiplication symbol. Add this. When two different elements are included in a single compound, you should add their masses. So plus oxygen, only one oxygen is given because this 2 is commonly taken outside. So only one oxygen atomic mass is 16. Okay, close the bracket. Now 2 into 2 ones are 2U plus 2 into 16. 32U gives 2 into 2 ones are 2U plus 16. Are you all following me? It's very easy. Now 2 into 2, 4U plus 32U gives 2 into 2U plus 16. 2 plus 16, 18. 18U. Okay. So now 4 plus 32 is 36U. 4 plus 32, 36U gives 2 into 18 is 36U. That's all. Hence proved. Mass of reactant is equal to mass of products. Is it clear? So always in a chemical reaction, the mass of reactants will be equal to the mass of product. Here also 36, here also 36. Thus the law of conservation of mass is proved. Okay. From the same experiment, I am going to prove the next law. Which law? Law of constant proportion. I already told you, every substance, every compound has the elements mixed in fixed ratio. I told you now, in case of water, the hydrogen and oxygen will always be in the ratio 1:8, irrespective of the nature, irrespective of the source of water, quantity of water. Okay, you want to see, take this. Okay, so I will write it here. You should not mix this because this is for hydrogen, 4U is for hydrogen. Understood or not? This 4U represent hydrogen and this 32U indicates oxygen. So here if I take this directly, you get 4U plus 32U gives 2 into 18U. This is for hydrogen, this is for oxygen, this is for water. Okay, so I don't want to further write it. Okay, so I am directly taking this step. So it gives 4U plus 32U gives 2 into 18 is 36U. I am not adding this because I want to find the ratio of oxygen and hydrogen. First one is hydrogen, second one is oxygen, third one is water. Okay. So now ratio means proportion. How will you find? You will divide it now. So this is hydrogen, this is oxygen. So divide this 4 divided by 32. What is 4 divided by 32? 4 for the table 1 8. So answer is 1 by 8, that is equal to 1:8. Now it is proved or not? I already told you in water hydrogen and oxygen are always in the ratio 1:8. So 4 divided by 32 is 1 by 8, that is 1:8. So 1 represent hydrogen, 8 represent oxygen. So you remember like this, in 9 gram or 9, we are dealing with U here na. In 9 U of water, only 1 U will be hydrogen and remaining 8 U will be oxygen. In 9 gram of water, only 1 gram will be hydrogen, 8 gram will be oxygen. Okay. This law is applicable for any amount now. So I am giving you one homework. I have taken this. You do like this. You do take some extra amount. Extra amount means instead of this 2H2, you write 4H2. Instead of 1 O2, you write 2 O2. And instead of 2H2O, you will get, so 4H2 plus 2 O2, if you mix like this, you are mixing some extra hydrogen oxygen, you will get 4 molecules of H2O. Okay, now solve this formula, solve this equation in the same method, and after this step, you take the ratio like this and check whether you are getting the ratio 1:8. Because I told you now, irrespective of the amount of water, irrespective of the source of water, 1 cup of water, 1 bucket of water, 1 tank of water, everything, 1 pool of water, the ratio will be 1:8. So this is your homework. Check this chemical reaction and try to prove both the law of conservation of mass and the law of constant proportion. Understood? So please take down this equation. This is your homework. Please take down this experiment, this chemical reaction, and prove number 1, law of conservation of mass, and number 2, law of constant proportion. So please check it, but I assure you, for this experiment also, for this reaction also, you will get the same ratio 1:8. If you are not getting it, then you are doing it wrong. So please, this is your homework. You have to do this. You have to write like what I did, okay? And you have to take a photo, take a picture and send me in WhatsApp. That's your homework. Understood? Okay? Then we will see in the next class. That's all for today. So please take it down and prove the law of conservation of mass and law of constant proportion. Okay? Thank you, students. Hope you enjoyed today's class. I will see you in the next class. Thank you.